What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today we are going to talk about a climbing stick that was released just 11 days ago by On A Limb Manufacturing. If you are a saddle hunter, 99.9% chance that you have heard of Out on a Limb. They are home of the Ridge Runner platform, the Shakar One Stick, the Scout platform, and recently the Big Bob One Stick. The Big Bob is a one stick with a folding top. Their new release was the Slick Rick with the folding top and folding bottom. So basically a Big Bob that folds completely flat. What I wanted to do was kind of compare it and give you an overview, my first impressions, because obviously I haven't used it yet, but I wanted to compare it to my current setup, which I think before the release of the Slick Rick was the best one stick on the market. Now this is the Eastern Woods Outdoors Ultimate One Stick with the Ultimate platform and the Ultimate lower step, and also running the Ultimaider with the pack and play and the one stick rope hooks. This thing is a freaking beast. It's dirty as hell right now. I run the crap out of it this season. I'm excited to see how the Slick Rick stands up to this. I don't have all of the stuff for it right now. I have some stuff on the way. I had a gift card and wanted to buy my cam cleat and rope and stuff separately, so it's on the way. And I've also got some stealth strip to cover the stick. I also have a new Ultimaider, and I'm going to use this pack and play pouch. So there's a lot of stuff that I want to do to this stick, but right now I'm just going to give you an overview of all of the features and tell you what I think about it. And then I'm going to take some of the components off of my other stick and put it on here to see if we can fully dress it. Then we'll do a part 2 video after I've climbed on it a few times, and by that time I will have my paracord all over the top and bottom platform. So let's get started and check this thing out. All right, so we're going to start out with the two things that really drew me to this stick. The number one thing was the fact that when this is folded out, it is very, very similar to the Ultimate One Stick with the Ultimate platform with the Ultimate lower step. The bottom and the top platforms are, very, very similar in size. The number two thing was that it folds flat. The only thing that can make this stick better is the ability to pack it better. And so that's what this stick does. As you can see here, that is pretty doggone flat compared to this. So being able to stick this onto my pack and still be able to strap my bow to the front of it or strap my gun to the side of my backpack without my bow or my gun getting beat all the heck and back, that's a major plus. So let's move on to some of the features. So we'll start with the top. So you'll notice this screw here, and what this screw is your leveling adjustment. And so when you fold your top down, I've got it set to where that is, perfectly 90 degrees. So I'll put it in. Now look at that angle. That is awesome. My Ultimate platform is the angled platform, but it's only, the front 2.5 inches or so. And that's fine because I'm a leaner and a sitter, so that kind of gives me the best of both worlds. But you can literally adjust this on the fly. Go down a little bit, take it loose, adjust your angle, and get it just right however you want it to be when you're in the tree. Another thing I noticed is right inside of here where the platform makes contact with the button, there is a adhesive felt here. So what that's going to do is when you're moving around, positioning yourself, you're not going to get any squeak there. So also you can see here they've got some really thick nylon washers. I guess that's nylon, but that will also eliminate any squeaking. They have a pretty badass pull handle here. Looks like maybe a 1/8 cable or something. It goes all the way back down in there. So just like the Ultimate platform, you can see the rope groove there. So as you're advancing, you can pick your stick up, stick your rope in that groove, lean into the tree, and then you can put your rope around the tree hands-free. So another thing I thought was pretty cool was, even though I didn't buy the cam cleat from Out on a Limb, they included the hardware to attach it to the stick. I'm not real sure what this center bolt is here. I would assume maybe it's for like a Versa button, but there's also a piece of Kydex, like a Kydex clip that wraps around from the inside to the back of the stick. Not real sure what that's there for either, but I will find out and have that for you on the next video. So, bottom step. You know, when I first saw this, I was thinking to myself how it may become a little cumbersome if both the top and the bottom were trying to pivot while you're trying to set it on the tree. But they had a solution to that. When you get to the tree and you get ready to set your stick on the tree and you've got it in the folded position, all you've got to do is fold it out, put your pin back in, and that thing's not going anywhere. On the bottom, you can see they also have the nylon washers there, so you shouldn't get any squeak from this step either. I do like that they use an 1¼ inch stick. That adds a little bit more structural integrity. But another thing that I wanted to show you guys, and I think this makes a world of difference. I've always thought to myself, you know, especially when these guys are using aluminum tubing, how come the tube does not bend when you're putting a ton of stress on it? Well, they have done something that kind of eases my mind. And so if you look at the end here, you can see that there is a solid block of aluminum inside the stick. So I can pull this button here all the way out, which you can see how long it is. But then you can see that that is tapped into that solid block of aluminum. And it comes down to about right here. So I would assume that you could put, you know, crazy amounts of weight on this thing before it would even think about giving. All right, so we're gonna take some measurements here and kind of do a head-to-head. We're gonna take the overall length, not including the Ultimaider, overall width, and overall depth. And we will also lay this slick rig flat and see what the dimensions are when it's folded flat. All right, so the Ultimate one stick is about 18.5, and the slick rig is 17.25. So that's about 1¼ inch shorter for the slick rig. Platform, we'll do the widest point, which is 13.5. The main platform is 10 inches. The slick rig is 13.1/8, and that's pretty much going to be the part of the platform that you're going to be using. So let's do depth of the top platform. Let's see here. We got 8 inches from the very back to the very front. Also have 8 inches. Now let's check the bottom. So the Ultimate lower step is about 9 inches. The slick rig bottom step is 9.5 inches. Depth of the bottom step is 6 inches on the slick rig and 6.5, a little over 6.5, about 6 5/8 on the Ultimate lower step. So there again, very, very comparable to the Ultimate one stick. So now we'll fold this thing flat, get a few measurements. We already know the width of the platform, so basically what we'll do is we'll find the thickest point and let you know how thick that is. Now obviously this doesn't include the cam cleat and everything, the rope, but 2 3/4. And the bottom is 2 9/16. So 2 3/4 inches thick. So 2 3/4 inches thick when trying to pack it versus 8 inches thick. That's one hell of a difference. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to weigh this stick bare bones, and then I'll weigh the Ultimate One stick, and then I'll take the components off of the Ultimate One stick and weigh this stick dressed up and see how the weight compares. Make sure this thing's clear. We've got 4.3 pounds. That's for the Slick Rick. 5.89 pounds. So that's about 1.5 pounds difference between this stick and the Slick Rick. Obviously the Slick Rick was bare bones. So I'm going to transfer the cam cleat, the one stick rope, the Ultimaider pack and play pouch, and the 3-step Ultimaider to the Slick Rick, and we will weigh it again, show you guys what it looks like all dressed up, and give our final thoughts. Alright, so we got this bad boy put together. I've got the Ultimaider on with the pack and play pouch. I've got my stick rope on with the cam cleat. We are going to weigh this real quick and see how it compares to the Ultimate One stick. The Ultimate One stick weighed 5.89 pounds, and then so this one is going to come in at 5.46. So that's almost 0.5 pound lighter. So obviously I'm going to put some paracord on there and some stealth strip. I've also got the Genesis 3D printing rope tamer. So that's probably going to add about 1/4 pound, 1/2 pound at the most. So ultimately I'm going to wind up about the exact same weight with almost the exact same platform on top and bottom with almost half the thickness packed up. So as far as my initial thoughts of this thing, I think I'm going to love it. I don't think I'll ever get rid of my Ultimate One stick just because the thing's a hoss. So I did do one thing when I was putting the aider on, and you probably just can barely see it, but I cut a piece of heat shrink, probably 3/4 of an inch or 7/8, and threaded the bolt in so I could see how many threads were exposed, and I put heat shrink around the exposed threads to keep any sharp edges from touching my aider. So I did that on both sides. So that was a really quick thing to do to potentially save me some hassle in the future. I did see another trick with the Big Bob that they were having an issue getting the cable to slide back in. It was catching on the bolts for the cam cleat, and what they did was take a zip tie and basically zip tie loosely to hold the cable away from those bolts. So I may wind up doing that once I get my cam cleat in, but I mean, this thing even looks awesome. I think it's going to be one hell of a stick. I can't wait to get it in a tree. One thing I did notice too, these teeth are extremely aggressive. I don't know if it's too aggressive. I don't know if you can be too aggressive, but I just don't want that snagging on my backpack or my jacket or something like that and tearing a hole in, you know, some expensive camo. So I may wind up filing those down just a touch, but they will definitely bite a tree, that's for sure. So I'm kind of unsure on whether or not I will use the cam action too much to set the stick into the tree. Normally what I do is I'll put the stick on and I'll step on the bottom step of my aider, pull out on the bottom step, and then put weight on the aider and pull it down to set it. But as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to put this on a tree and play with it and see, you know, just how well that cam action works to set it in the tree. You know, it may alleviate that extra step. You know, every time you set your stick, just lift it up a little bit, stick it on the tree. You know, once you get your rope around, cam it down, and I don't know, we'll see how that works out. I will say that that is not the reason that I bought it. Like I said earlier, the two main purposes of me buying this was specifically because it is extremely similar to the Ultimate One stick with the Ultimate platform with the lower step, and the fact that it folds flat and, you know, is easier packed is a huge advantage for me. So I think this is going to be great. Hopefully I will be able to get this in a tree a couple of times over the next week or so and get another video out on an official review, as this is kind of just an overview and a comparison to my old man stick. So you guys give me about 2 weeks and I'll have a review out, so be on the lookout for that. And I think at the same time I will do my review of the Ultimaider pack and play pouch. I'm really glad that it worked out on this stick, because I don't think that I could live without my Ultimaider and pack and play. So also, when I do the review, I will have the Genesis 3D printing rope tamer, so I might slide that in there as well. Might do a separate video, I don't know. So anyway, be on the lookout for the full review video coming out in about 2 weeks. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time in Rob's Man Cave.